Yeah. Um, I'm going to have to go ahead and sort of disagree with you there.
Is the CPA exam actually getting harder, or are candidates less prepared than they used to be? Here's what we know. In 2024, the pass rates are trending down for FAR and BAR, even TCP, although those pass rates are still pretty high. Some people look at this and they say the exam is definitely getting harder. Other people say, wait a minute, how do we know this isn't the candidates?
Hey guys, Breezy CPA here, your certified public accountant, back with another video. In this video, I want to take a look at whether it's gotten harder or easier to get your CPA license in 2025 versus previous years. So is it harder or easier to become a CPA in 2025? In order to break down this subject, I feel like we need to break it down into two separate areas. Firstly is going to be the educational requirements in order to allow you to sit for the CPA exam and pass the CPA exam. And secondly, it's going to be the pass rates themselves for all of the sections of the CPA exam. So starting with the educational requirements in order to just be able to sit for the CPA exam. Recently, we've seen over 20 states that have implemented a new CPA license pathway, allowing students to sit for the CPA exam with 120 credit hours and 2 years of college experience and 2 years of professional experience, as opposed to the previous 150 credit hours that were required previously. Now, they're doing this in order to encourage students to major in accounting and to get more people to sit for the CPA exam. And both the AICPA and the NASBA have jumped on board with these new licensing pathways, reducing the number of hours that the students need in order to sit for the CPA exam. So this is something that is going to make it easier for candidates to sit for the CPA exam, not pass the CPA exam, just be able to qualify to sit for the CPA exam. So that's one thing, 150 credit hours, now 120 credit hours with 2 years of work experience. The majority of the states, 20 states have passed this, and we expect to see all 50 states in 2027, 2028 having implemented a new CPA exam pathway, allowing students to sit for the CPA exam. So that's one way in which I believe that it has become easier to sit for the CPA exam and get your CPA. Number two, the CPA exam test window. So previously, you were allowed 18 months in order to pass all 4 of your CPA exams. When I sat for the CPA exam, I had to pass all 4 of my exams within an 18-month window, an 18-month period. Now you are allowed 30 months in order to pass all 4 of your CPA exams. So that is a significant amount of time that they are giving you on top of that 18 months in order to incentivize, again, students to take the CPA exam and have more students passing the CPA exam with this extended window of time in order to pass all 4 of your exams. So those are 2 reasons. Just when it comes to the requirements for sitting for the CPA exam and passing the CPA exam, where it has gotten easier for students recently, and I feel like it's only going to get easier in the future with more states passing these licensing pathways, encouraging students to sit for the CPA exam and major in accounting. So 2 ways in which the CPA exam has gotten easier, in the sense that you can sit for it and you have more time to pass all 4 of your exams. Now we have to take a look at the CPA pass rates themselves. So you can sit for the CPA exam, you have more time to pass your exams. Now, what are the pass rates for the exam? So if you don't know, in order to pass the CPA exam section, you must score a minimum of 75. So 75 doesn't mean 75%, but it's a good way to think about it. So 75 on the CPA exam out of 99 gives you a pass on the CPA exam. So scores are reported on a scale that ranges from 0 to 99, and the AICPA is responsible for administering these CPA exams, and they are going to give you a performance report that assesses your performance on each section. And the CPA scoring is treated with a high level of importance, due diligence, and attention to accuracy. They say here your total score is a weighted combination of scaled scores from both your multiple choice questions and task-based simulations. So if you don't know, the CPA exam is composed of multiple choice questions. You're going to have testlets. It's going to be broken up into multiple testlets. And in each of those testlets, you're going to have multiple choice questions, and you're going to have task-based simulations, which are real-world simulations of problems that you might find when you're working in the real world in whatever subject you're testing in. The CPA exam consists of 3 core sections. We have audit, FAR, and regulation. So audit, financial, and taxation. And you get your choice of one discipline section, and that's going to be BAR, ISC, or TCP. And the weighted combination of the scaled scores is going to be 50% for the multiple choice questions, 50% for the task-based simulations. And that's going to apply to all of the exams except for ISC, which is Information Systems and Controls, and that's going to be 60% multiple choice, 40% task-based simulation. The scaled scores on the multiple choice portion of the exam are calculated using formulas that take into account factors such as whether the question was answered correctly and the relative difficulty of each question. So the difficulty of the questions are going to increase the more questions you get correct on the exam. Theoretically, that's what they say. So if you answer a couple of questions wrong in a row, they're going to make the next questions easier. If you answer more questions correctly, they're going to get harder. So correct and incorrect answers to task-based simulations, those are on a scaled score. And then multiple choice questions, those are going to be on a scaled score as well. So although the testing is conducted throughout the year, we publish candidate pass results for each section on a quarterly basis, the AICPA says here. The exam is not harder or easier to pass at different times. This is what the AICPA here, and it says, and it's important to note here that they say that the exam is not harder to or easier to pass at different times. An increase in pass rates simply means that the candidates are better prepared. So let's take a look at whether or not that's the case, because this is highly questionable in my opinion. So taking a look at the pass rates, we can see here that we have the pass rates for 2025 and 2024. Let's take a look at the pass rates overall from back in 2006 all the way to 2025. So we can see here that the average pass rates for the CPA exam have historically, over the last 20 years here, averaged right around 50%. We can see that we have FAR, Audit, Reg, BEC, which is no longer. BEC was eliminated in 2023. In 2024, we had the CPA Evolution, which introduced some new discipline exams here. So BEC was eliminated. Now we have BAR, TCP, and ISC as the discipline exams. So FAR, Audit, Reg, we can see that these scores hovered right around 50%, and we can see that the highest scores here were in 2020. So we can see that for BEC it was 66, for Reg taxation 62, for Audit 53, and for FAR it was right at 50% passing rate in 2020. Now, we can see that after 2020, these scores have started to drop. So in 2024, again, that was when CPA Evolution took place. But before then, all of these scores steadily dropped here from 66 to 62, 62 to 60, 53 to 48, 50 to 45. And let's take a look here at what they say are the exam scores from 2024 and 2025. So if we take a look at 2024 for audit, we had a cumulative pass rate of 45.79%. And then if we look at 2025 here, we can see that we had a cumulative pass rate of 46.92%. So this is a 1% increase that we see from 45 to 46% for auditing. Then for FAR, we can see we had from a 39% cumulative pass rate in 2024, now at a 42% pass rate in 2025. So that is a 3% increase that we are seeing for FAR as far as pass rates go. For regulation, 62% in 2024, 62% in 2025. So that has remained constant. We can see that 62, 62. Now, BAR, so business analysis and reporting, it went from 38% in 2024 to 43% in 2025. So a dramatic increase here of 5% from 2024 to 2025. And I want you to remember what the AICPA is saying here. The AICPA says the exam is not getting harder or easier to pass at different times. An increase in pass rates simply means that candidates are better prepared. So this is why I find this highly questionable, and I doubt that this is the case. I think the AICPA adjusts the pass rates how they want them to be, because it's hard to justify some of these percentage changes. And we're going to see that here with ISC. If we look at ISC, Information Systems and Controls, for 2024, we can see the percentage pass rates here, a cumulative pass rate of 58%. Now, if we go to 2025 for quarters 1 and 2, we have a cumulative pass rate of 68%. What is that? That is 10% increase in the pass rate for ISC. So just looking at the other exams, we can see that this is a big discrepancy for ISC here. We had a 1% increase for audit, a 3% increase for FAR. There was a 0% increase or decrease for regulation, 5% for BAR, 10% for ISC, an increase in pass rates. And then for TCP, we have another 5% increase from 73 to 78 here. So we can see that some of these exams have had a significant increase in the amount of people that are passing them. And the AICPA is saying that that is purely because the exam is not easier or harder, but it simply means that the candidates are better prepared. So this is difficult to justify when you have 4 quarters here for ISC, for example, 50%, 57, 61, then it dropped down in quarter 4 here to 56, and then all of a sudden here we are seeing 61 and then 72% almost in quarter 2 of 2025. So I think this is a clear indication that the AICPA manipulates these exams in a way that they want in order to increase and decrease the amount of people that are passing each individual section. What does this mean for you as a CPA candidate? Well, it means that overall, the CPA exam is getting easier, and it's getting easier to become a certified public accountant. Taking a look back at our exam scores over the last 20 years here, you need to look at this from the perspective of each time frame. So if we look at 2006 to 2007, 2011 here, we can see that the scores remained relatively steady. Then from 2011 to 2017, we had an increase here slightly in the scores. And then from 2017 to 2020, there was a big increase here. So you can argue that the CPA exam has gotten harder in recent years as opposed to what it was back in 2020. But overall, they are basically keeping the scores at what they used to be on a relative level. So let's take a look here. For FAR, for example, we had 48 in '06, and now we are somewhere around 43%. For audit, let's take a look at the core exams here. We had a 48 in 2007. Now we're at a 47% pass rate. And then for regulation, we again had a 47, 49 here, and now regulation has a pass rate of 63. So these pass rates have definitely fluctuated over time, but generally speaking, the CPA exam as a whole has gotten easier in the sense that now you have fewer requirements in order to sit for the CPA exam. You have more time to pass the CPA exam. And relatively speaking, the scores have remained relatively constant. And we can see here with the discipline sections that for TCP, for example, we have some of the highest pass rates we have seen in the history of the CPA exam here, with a 79% pass rate in 2025 for tax compliance and planning. And for ISC, we also had a 70%, which again is one of the highest pass rates that we have seen for any CPA exam in the past 20 years. So in some sense, the CPA exam has gotten more difficult if you are taking certain sections, but overall, looking at the requirements to sit for the CPA exam and the CPA exam pass rates throughout the course of the last 20 years, it seems like they are headed in the direction of making it slightly easier in order to become a certified public accountant in 2025, going into 2026, 27, and 28, with the new regulations, the new legislation, the new CPA exam pathway, and they are adjusting these CPA exam scores in a fashion that looks like they are trying to make it slightly easier for CPA exam candidates to pass the CPA exam. Let me know what you guys think about this. Do you feel like the CPA exam has gotten easier or harder? Do you think that it's harder or easier to become a certified public accountant in 2025 versus previous years? Remember that the 150 credit hour requirement, that has only been around for the past 30 years. So that was a 30-year experiment. Previous to that, you were only required to get 120 credit hours in order to sit for the CPA exam. So they are going back to basically what it used to be in the past. So the CPA exam has been around for 100 years. So this is something that you can look at it from a historical perspective, back as far as you want to go, and argue whether or not the CPA exam today is harder than what it was previously. But it seems as though they are heading in the direction of trying to encourage more people to enter the profession, making it easier not only to sit for the CPA exam, but to also pass these sections with the extra time that they are allowing you, and the fewer requirements just to be able to sit for the CPA exam. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, your experiences with the CPA exam, whether you feel like it's been easier or harder, and what you think is going to happen going forward. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you to all the new subscribers. If you're interested in learning more about accounting, studying for the CPA exam, make sure to visit breezycpa.com. Use promo code BREEZY20, which you can find in the description down below, to get 20% off your courses. And I will see you guys in the next video.